Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hoopers Lab podcast. This is the podcast where we talk all things basketball. I'm your host, Brody, joined here by my co-host, Riley.
Hello.
Hello. So, the NBA season is finally here.
NBA is back.
The boys are back in town. So we're going to talk about the first little bit of the season. It's a week today, right?
I guess it is, yes.
Started on Tuesday, yeah. So it's been a week. Most teams have played, I think some teams have played 2, some teams have played 4. So we're going to overreact to lots of stuff. Because that's all you can really do at this point.
That's the fun part about the beginning of the season, though, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Paulo Banchero's winning MVP. Just kidding.
Okay, we could talk about Paulo and the Magic to start. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched his 50-point. I was going to go back and watch his 50-point performance, but I have not yet.
I just think the fact that he had 37, 7, and 6 in the first half is insane.
That was crazy, yeah. What's the record for points and a half? It's by Kevin Love, isn't it?
No, that's points in a quarter. Kevin Love got I think.
Oh, that's points in a quarter.
34 in the first quarter.
Booker scored 51 in a half. That's when he played the Celtics. That was the game where he dropped 70.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, Kevin Love was points in a quarter, yeah. But yeah, great game by Paulo, and he doesn't get a lot of coverage just because, I think the NBA has shifted their focus to players like Wemby or Ant, those guys as first overall picks. But Paulo's right there.
Well, and I think the thing is, he's asserting himself in those conversations.
Yes, for sure. Last year he was an all-star, had an incredible year as a second-year player, and then what he did in the playoffs as well, and then he looks even better this year, so that's great. But something I think has really helped him is his supporting cast has started out really good. Franz Wagner can shoot threes now because he's been taking 6 attempts per game, and he's shooting 44%.
He's hitting them on a obviously really good clip so far.
Yeah, but with certain numbers, numbers are bound to fall off, but it's promising that he's starting the season with his shot there.
Yeah.
And then same thing with Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs is averaging almost 8 attempts per game, and he's shooting 45%. And that's something that, he got this big contract, which, props to him. But if he wants to, deserve that money, I guess the shot needed to stay there. That was kind of the variable with him. And if he could keep shooting like this, then, I think the Magic are in a great spot.
Yeah.
And then they're shooting threes now, which I really like because they did not shoot threes last year. They got out and got KCP, and he's not he's off to a slow start, which is fine. But
he's not going to bring a crazy volume either. But it's just nice to see the team as a collective is really buying in on shooting more threes. Franz and even Paulo himself is putting up a lot.
Yeah, small sample size, but they're 6th in the league for 3-point attempts right now. And yeah, if you have a guy like Franz who could not shoot last year, if he's shooting, a good rate and he's shooting a lot of threes, same thing for Suggs. If he's shooting a lot of threes, shooting at a high rate, which he did last year, then this team looks significantly better than last year. So it's been exciting for Magic basketball. Anthony Black looks like no magic. Ooh. Great singing there by me. Anthony Black looks like a good role player. The team looks really good. So, Franz did get injured in this game. I'm not sure what the injury is, but hopefully it's not for that long. But yeah, Paulo, I think that he's the youngest player to have a 50-point game since LeBron did in 2006, I saw. So yeah, Paulo is on an incredible trajectory that's kind of getting overlooked. So yeah, much love to him and the Magic.
He's really fully asserted himself. If he can he's I was expecting another jump from him this year, but this is far exceeding what I was anticipating from him. The way he's been playing so far.
he's not even 22 yet. He's 21 years old, and he's averaging like 29 points right now and had a 50 bomb. Like, crazy stuff. So he's going to be an all-star for many years to come. And he's going to be a force in that Eastern Conference, I think. So, because most of the guys, like, obviously we know how stacked the West is, especially since, like, Ant and Wemby are there. But Paulo's going to be, like, that star in the East, I think.
Yeah.
Or one of them, at least.
Yeah, I agree. Multiple time All-NBA.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see him getting his first one this year, potentially. Obviously, it's stacked, but, like, it's definitely in the realm of possibility.
I mean, the way he's been playing so far, I'd say easily he could be in All-NBA contention.
It's also 3 games, but it could happen. It could happen. As a 22-year-old in his 3rd year, so yeah. Anything else sticking out to you?
With the Magic?
You want to talk about? No, just in general. We'll move on to another team.
I guess where's your panic meter on the Nuggets right now?
Yeah. So the Nuggets are struggling. They did lose to a really good team in the Thunder, but it's the way that they lost, which was not great. And even the way that they just beat the Raptors was not very promising, because that is a team that you should not be going into overtime against and losing, or by winning by only 2 points.
They damn near only lost because Scotty had to go out at the end of the game.
They damn near, it came down to the final possession in regulation where Jamal Murray hit that game-tying shot.
Well, and I almost, the whole team's like scared to shoot the ball, and I don't know, it just feels weird because like Jokic is trying to get everyone else going, but like no one's really getting going. So like specifically in that Raptors game, it felt like he was just like kind of like, fuck it, I'll do it myself if y'all aren't gonna do literally anything.
Yeah, like he attempted like 26 shots or something. Like he has really had to be the scorer, because like in past years, he's been fine getting 25 and dishing it out, but this year it's really he has to score and do everything for this team. His second leading scorer is averaging 17 points, which is Jamal Murray. And Jamal Murray just does not look good, and I don't know if we'll ever get to the Jamal Murray we saw, because I think it's clear to me that he's lost a step.
Yeah.
And the other concerning thing is when he isn't on the court with Jokic, like when Jokic isn't on the basketball court, there's nothing that this team can do. And Jamal Murray has to step up and be that guy that can hold it down at least a little bit when Jokic is out. He's their creator, their secondary creator. He needs to step up, and he's just not looked good. And I'm very concerned about Jamal Murray, because this is something that we saw in the playoffs as well, and in Team Canada.
It's not like it's just no, exactly. And like I think I saw people talking about like maybe a trade needs to happen, but I don't even know like what you would look for in a trade, because like I feel like you still like the idea of Michael Porter Jr. there, and you still like the idea of Aaron Gordon next to Jokic. And can you even trade Jamal Murray yet? Because he's on extension, right?
I mean, even if you can, it's a big contract. The thing with with the way he's playing, his value isn't very high right now, and you're not going to get a player better than Jamal Murray. I don't know what this team does. Like, their lack of shooting is so clearly hindering this team. They have Jokic, who is the best offensive player in the game, maybe second. And this is the second worst offense in the league right now. They have the second worst offensive rating. Like, they cannot score, and that is because of the lack of shooting.
Do you think Westbrook finishes the season with the Nuggets?
I don't know, man. I just no.
I don't know. I saw someone say that, like, I think it was a GM. They were like, he should be cut. Yeah. I was like, damn, that's kind of crazy. But like, you're not gonna get anything from a trade for Westbrook, so like, it would make sense if they did want to part ways with them, if they just cut him, bought him out, whatever.
They would have to cut him, yeah. So that's not great. Yeah, like you're relying on Jokic to shoot a lot of their threes, which hasn't been their recipe for success. Like he's shooting 7 threes a game right now, second most on the team. Well, actually tied for most.
Well, when even in like back to the playoffs, when they lost to the Timberwolves, you just saw a lot of. It felt like just defaulting to Jokic shooting jump shots, which in the end didn't work. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's ideally a recipe for success for them.
Like these aren't coaching problems or problems that can change overnight. They're issues that are clear with the roster construction. So that's why I do have a panic meter on them.
Yeah.
Like they're a 14th seed right now or something. Like they're not going to stay as the 14th seed, you know? But in terms of this is like showing the long-term ceiling of this team already. And there's another team I want to talk about, which, is doing similar stuff. But like, you can't have Aaron Gordon on the court with Russell Westbrook. You can't have Peyton Watson on the court with lots of these guys. Like, they have lots of guys that just do not shoot and cannot shoot. Same thing with, like, Christian Brown is their, he's supposed to be their shooting guard. That does not shoot. He does lots of other things well, but if you cannot shoot, especially in this situation, then your value just isn't as high as it could be. So
it's unfortunate what happens when your ownership is greedy.
Yeah, like the fall off of the Nuggets is crazy because like when they won a championship, you're obviously riding that high, and like it didn't look like that was going to be their last one, and it looked like they were a team that really could sustain that success. But they just look like a completely different team from when they won the championship, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it just seems like they don't have the overall talent and the overall shooting talent to really, get back into that place, which is unfortunate.
And Jamal Murray is just not the Jamal Murray they need.
Yeah,
even if he was doing the stuff he does in the regular season normally, but the fact that he's just doing bad is.
Yeah, I think that's where you'll start to see them kind of get back to themselves as if/when Jamal Murray kind of figures himself out and gets back to what he was doing, and regularly. But
he needs to shoot more threes. He does not shoot enough threes. Like, I get that you want to be like he's mainly a mid-range guy and he works a lot on that pick and roll, getting to that spot. But like, when this team needs shooters and you're a guy that can shoot, like you're only shooting 4 attempts a game, Jokic should not be shooting more threes than you. I'm sorry. Like he's a guy that shot 43% from 3 last year on 6 attempts, and now he's shooting 4 attempts per game.
Well, and Jokic is gonna get you the looks too. Like it's not even about like having to create for yourself. Like you have the man who's gonna be able to get the looks for you. You just have to actually, be willing to consistently take them and confident in your shot.
Yeah, so I would like his shot diet to go to more of a 3. Like that's how they're gonna step it up, I think, one way. But it's concerning times for the Nuggets. And another team that is concerning me that I was talking about is the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, they're a team that I was high on going into the regular season. They're a team that I considered a contender. And right now they are not looking like it because their defense it's awful. It's not good. They're like a bottom 5 defensive team right now, even though they have like Giannis, who, in theory should be an elite defender and should carry this defensive load. But they just don't have an identity on the defensive end or any kind of structure or scheme. And even personnel, like, again, they don't really have perimeter defenders, which was a problem, and it still is a problem.
It kind of, like, gives me vibes of the Jazz with Gobert, where they, especially towards the end, when they had absolutely no one who could defend on the perimeter, and then you just kind of had your backline defender in Gobert. And obviously they don't use Giannis in the same, way that Gobert's used, but you have Brook Lopez, your drop defender, and then Giannis is Giannis is all your help. But like, Brook Lopez obviously isn't moving any better than he was last year. And even though Gary Trent Jr. is a slight upgrade defensively compared to Malik Beasley, you still have no real good perimeter defenders there, and then Dame is obviously not very good at all on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Torian Prince though.
Yeah, there you go. He loves his boy Darvin Ham. The thing with the Bucks is that, like, they're one of the oldest teams in basketball. They might be the oldest. I'm not sure. If they're not the oldest, they're the second. But this is a team that we're seeing the age, and that's not great, especially 4 games for them into the regular season. So they're a team that, all these teams around them are evolving. They're shooting more threes. They're running with pace. They have identities, and this Bucks team just doesn't have an identity, and they haven't really once Drew Holiday left.
Yeah.
Because this team is so far away from the team that won a championship. Just in terms of how they play, how they look, how they play defense. And it's the same thing with the Bucks. Like, the Bucks and the Nuggets don't look like the teams that they did when they won their championships pretty recently. So yeah, and the thing about the Bucks too is the way that they lost. They lost to the Bulls and the Nets. That is just not okay when you have Giannis and Dame out there.
Yeah, no.
And then they won against Philly with no Embiid and Paul George, like,
against the Cripple squad.
Yeah.
No, that's the
So,
like, obviously you can excuse a loss against the Celtics like they did last night, but yeah, it's just like the Nets and the Bulls, you just can't afford to lose games like that when, like, literally every game matters. Like last year the conferences were super close in both the East and West. It's gonna be the same again this year, and dropping games that you should easily dominate, it's gonna hurt them in the long run. And it's good that, I guess, to see that Dame is looking a little better in comparison to last season, but the team still isn't clicking, and it feels like they need a trade to happen, but I just don't think there's really any way you can get better on this team. So they're kind of just in limbo.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem with the Nuggets and the Bucks. Like, they don't have the flexibility to make these changes.
Are you saying you don't want Bobby Portis?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Middleton is coming back, but that's not going to fix any of these issues with their offensive identity and, their defense at all. Like, Middleton isn't going to fix that. So I don't know an avenue that this team gets better. They tried to in the offseason, but they just could hand out minimums. That's all they could do. And with Giannis as a guy that's constantly in rumors to be moving on, this team is not in a good spot at all. And Doc is not the coach to do the things that they want him to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very concerned for those two teams. If I had to say who I'm more concerned for, I would say the Bucks.
It's hard. I was gonna say easily the Bucks too, but I don't know. It's just, I guess the Nuggets have you just have more confidence in them, I'd say. But yeah, the Bucks are just like, because they still have all their pieces, but they're just so old now, and I don't know.
The Bucks' issues, I think, aren't as easily fixable. Like, the Nuggets shooting bad, I think that you can go on a little bit of a stretch where that kind of is more covered up. With the Bucks, these issues are already so clear.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they can really improve like a shooting percentage can. But
that's fair.
I don't know. Let's talk some positive, though. Let's talk about the
negative podcast.
Welcome to the negative podcast. Let's talk about the Lakers. So they're a team that they've been doing really good. And this team looks very, very different from last year, even though their roster is exactly the same. And I just love how it shows how important coaching is in the NBA.
Yeah, they look how they should, and and they have an actual identity now. Crashing the offensive glass consistently, actually having Anthony Davis be the focal point of your offense. Everyone as a whole getting up more threes. They just look super good, and as a team, obviously the Suns handed them their first loss of the season last night, but they still look super good, and that was with LeBron having a awful night last night.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But yeah, like you talked about the offensive glass, that was something that they were worst in the league at last year, and now they're extremely better. You see a guy like Austin Reeves getting a lot of rebounds and just more fight on that end of the ball. And yeah, even when you look at the way the offense is, like they're a team that they actually are running sets,
There.
which to Darvin Ham is a crazy concept. Um, have you heard the thing that just came out about JJ Redick? What happened when he was watching film?
What was it?
Oh, apparently someone saw him at a car wash and he was like watching film and drawing up plays.
I mean,
Like this man's a sicko.
I mean,
It doesn't
I'm
stop.
not surprised.
Yeah, but also like I feel like it's getting a bit blown out of proportion. Like, isn't that what should be
I was
happening?
gonna say, like, it's just like
I don't know.
JJ's obviously gonna be a good X's and O's guy, and we knew that coming in. And I feel like we're like, this is not to discredit him because he's obviously doing a fantastic job in comparison to Darvin Ham, but like I feel like some of this should have been anticipated with how he talked on the Mind the Game podcast, and how piss poor of a coach Darvin Ham was.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's doing what we were kind of hoping for, and obviously he's exceeding it because the Lakers actually look like a competent basketball team now.
First time NBA coach, I think, is something that needs to be considered as well.
That was...
yes, Darvin Ham was bad, but JJ's a first year guy, and he is on a team with LeBron, and LeBron coaches have not had a lot of success. And obviously it helps that JJ Redick actually has a basketball mind, that him and LeBron have chemistry. But yeah, I think that something that's been happening with them, they're a top 5 offense, and a lot of that is Anthony Davis, who, if you're doing a week 1 MVP ladder, he's number 1.
Yeah.
And he looks like a drastically different player. He's averaging 33 points per game. His defense has also been like, he's probably the DPOY also on that ladder.
I was gonna say, is this the year we finally get the Anthony Davis Defensive Player of the Year?
One year I don't call it, man. But yeah, this is the second highest usage he's had in his career. He's averaging 13 free throw attempts per game. He's really aggressive. He's getting the ball and he's doing stuff with the ball, and he just looks like the player that they need him to be and that they've wanted him to be for a long time. And a lot of that is also LeBron has right now the lowest usage of his career,
Let the man
which
coast.
is not a bad thing. Yeah, let him pick his spots. Like, which game was it where it was against the Kings, I think, where he went off. Was it the third or I think it was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
He had a perfect fourth quarter or something. So you could just have more stuff like that.
No, that's the thing. I wanted to buy stock in the Lakers so bad this offseason, but I just like could not trust them for the life of me. And like, they're just playing like a competent basketball team now, actually playing normal basketball instead of just let
structure.
Let LeBron do whatever LeBron can with a bunch of scrubs. But like
it's the same roster.
Exactly.
Like
this team went to the conference finals not that long ago, and obviously had the most competitive sweep in history. But they're actually playing like that team now, which was I guess wasn't on my bucket list.
Yeah, no. And it's the way that they've won as well. They beat the Kings, which are to many people a playoff team, playoff caliber team. Same thing with the Wolves, same thing with the Suns. And those were all on the road as well. So, the first game was the first game wasn't on the road, was it? Against the Wolves?
I thought it was in LA. Maybe not. I don't remember.
I think it was in LA, but I know some of these games were on the road, which, I mean, beating good teams on the road is good. And yeah, they barely lost against the Suns. So yeah, they've looked really good. Also, just empowering players like Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura. They just have just a bunch more confidence that you're seeing. Jackson Hayes is a guy that's actually in the rotation, and he's looked good because he's empowered. And the stuff they're doing with him and AD is really interesting defensively. So it's fun. It's been fun. Usually you watch the Lakers for the antics and the shenanigans. But now they're actually a fun, competent team, which is amazing to see. Is there any other what other storylines do you want to get into?
Storylines? Oh, geez.
I have some here if you. I don't need to put you on the spot.
I'd have to pull up a team to think of something.
No, I have stuff. The Hornets. I really like what the Hornets are doing, and that's another team that has a new coach.
Wish I drafted LaMelo in fantasy.
Charles Lee?
Yeah, Charles Lee.
Yeah. Don't worry, he'll get it. No. The thing about LaMelo is usually it's the games played, which is a big part of it, but also in those games he's been better because he's getting to the line a lot more.
Well, I was going to say, last year, obviously, again, he missed a lot of time with injury, but last year, a lot of his shot diet was just chucking up threes, and it worked to an extent because he shot a pretty decent percentage on it, but you could just see more, more growth from his game all around in scoring, and getting to the line is super important for just anyone, so yeah.
Any player that's trying to lead a team. And just putting that pressure on the rim is something that he wasn't really doing. He was a guy, like, he was in that mold of, like, Tyrese Halliburton's another good example, too, where they just, like, they're very three-point centric, playmaking centric. They don't really put pressure on the rim. But we've seen that LaMelo has the athleticism to do it. Like, he's 6'7", and he's sneaky athletic. So, that's something that's really promising. He's averaging 32 points per game, and he's looked great. So I'm hoping that continues. This Hornets team could be a sneaky, buyer later in the season if they keep this up.
Need Brandon Miller to hurry up and return.
They need to reunite. They need to unite the Brandons. Miller and Ingram.
I was gonna say the balls.
Oh, get the Brandons and the
balls together.
Yeah. But the other thing I like about the Hornets is their kind of play style, how it's changed, because they're shooting a lot more threes, which I think Charles Lee was the assistant for the Celtics last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So he obviously, he's seen that it worked. So I was excited for him to bring that stuff over, and he has been.
Well, they always say it's a copycat league, so it's definitely good to see that they're just getting up the threes now.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when you have a guy like LaMelo. But he's also been doing good because the Celtics don't just chuck threes. Like, they put pressure on the rim as well, which I think is something LaMelo is kind of being taught.
Yeah.
That there is a value to the three, but there also is value on putting pressure on the rim and getting to the line. And then this team, rebounding-wise, I know it's a small sample size, but they were the worst rebounding team last year, and now they are second, which is a stat that I found interesting. I don't know if that sustains, but it's something to look out for. So, and this is Brandon Miller is injured, and he only played a couple minutes, I think, so far this season.
Yeah.
So
I need him to hurry up and get back already. My fantasy team is struggling right now.
Should have traded him to me
for Buddy Hield.
Yeah, I mean, I guess speaking of Buddy Hield, we could talk a bit about the Warriors.
I was gonna say we definitely need to talk about the Warriors.
Yeah, there's some interesting things there. Their basketball has looked really good. I mean, I know that they just beat up on some bad teams like the Blazers and the Jazz, but that's something you need to do. It's not guaranteed, exactly. That's something you need to do. And they're playing at a higher pace. They were an average defense last year, and now they're second. And they're first in assists. That's the Warriors' way. They're playing that style of Warriors basketball that has found them success in the past.
Do you think we should have any concern from their young guys, like especially with Pods? He hasn't started off very strong at all this season.
Pods was getting a lot of love in the offseason, and I wasn't really seeing it. I haven't seen. I think he'll obviously improve.
Yeah.
He's shooting 7% from 3 right now.
No, he's gonna drop down to 6.
But some stuff about him being the most improved player, stuff about him, the management wanting him to take 10 threes a game. There's just been a lot of hype over him in the offseason. I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll do good. But I think a concerning thing as well is Kuminga.
Definitely.
Because he was a guy that I had him emerging as the second best player for this team. And even though he is a starter, he's only 6th in minutes. So he's getting 6-man minutes, but he's starting. And like I seen a report that a team like Brooklyn, or maybe it said specifically Brooklyn, will throw him a bag in restricted free agency.
And there's no reason not to. And I don't know if I would match that if I were the Warriors. I don't know. I just feel like, your timeline with Steph is coming to an end, and at that point, do you really want to pay Kuminga for 5 years on a max,
Especially if he's not showing you what you want. Like, I was excited. Like, I thought he had a really good preseason. I thought there was lots of things that I liked there. And his start of the season has not looked great.
Steve Kerr just has beef for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm concerned for him. And, like, is he a guy that does he get moved because the Warriors just are afraid they're going to lose him?
I was going to say, if you're just,
I don't know.
like, I don't know, I feel like the only way I could see him getting moved is if you're just moving him for the sake of moving him, basically, just to get some value back from him, which, like, when you're trying to compete, I guess, fair enough, but, like, even if you trade Kuminga, your roster's still probably not good enough to really seriously compete, so at that point, it's like, is it worth it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. This team is also already so deep, so trading him to add depth wouldn't be the best move.
Yeah.
Like this team is so deep.
Yeah, I think if anything,
like, there is a lot of good guys.
If anything, you'd have to try to trade him to get some sort of star talent back. But at that point, with the way that he's performing, I think you'd basically have to include pods or picks in that to, even come close on value.
Yeah, but something promising for this team is that Wiggins has looked really good. He's starting at the 2, which is something that I was a bit like
interesting, but it's working well.
Yeah, he's averaging 20 points per game. He's shooting 6 threes a game, and he's hitting them at a high percentage right now at 58%. And hopefully that cloud was kind of lifted over because there was like some personal stuff that has been pointed out. So hopefully that's behind him and that he could play this way and like the way he did a couple of years ago when they won the championship.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else about the Warriors?
Is Steph's injury anything major?
Good thing I have Buddy Hield. I think it's just like a couple games.
That's what I saw. I was looking at it. I was like, I don't even know what that really means.
Well, the first thing I see is Ayesha Curry's heartbreaking reaction to Steph Curry's injury. What is that headline?
TMZ.
He'll be reevaluated on Friday.
If the Pelicans lose tonight, I might have to throw hands.
He'll miss at least 2 games, it says. So I guess we'll see. But buy Buddy Hield stock, I guess, because he's been doing really good.
Don't buy Buddy Hield stock.
I have him in fantasy, and I'm trying to sell high on him. So, if you're interested, Riley,
absolutely not.
He's on the table. I'm just concerned about his minutes. Like, he's been doing awesome, but he's only playing 21 minutes a game. So that's the thing about this team.
Yeah.
And there's always that roller coaster with Buddy Hield, and right now I'm trying to capitalize on the high of it.
For real, he's hitting 6 threes a game.
Yeah, he's a sharpshooter. Steph Curry's out now. Let's see what else.
Let's talk about.
Speaking of, you go.
I was gonna say, let's talk about your boy.
My boy, Tyrese.
Tyrese.
Which one? No, we know which one. Yeah, this start of the season. Okay, so Tyrese Maxey is. Yeah, Tyrese. I picked him first round in fantasy, and so far that's not been doing great.
Finally had a half decent night against the Magic. Almost put up a triple double, but still he just doesn't. And it was kind of like the concerns we had with him is knowing when to kind of pick your spots when you get yours, when you help distribute to the team, and it's really showing. And I think he had almost the perfect blend of that when he was going on his run in the in-season tournament. And this is something I've just been kind of thinking in general. I feel like the way we kind of judge players is like at their peak and when they're going on a certain run and playing super well at a certain time. And I think it kind of happened with Ant last year during the playoffs. And I just feel like, at some point we have the expectations of players when they were playing at like a perfect form of themselves.
Which just isn't really realistic, I think. Like I think I understand why fans do it, because you see them doing it, so you think like, oh, well, they have it in them.
They can do that
But to
every
do
night.
that night after night is just unrealistic, and
Yeah.
that's like godlike. Like if it was that easy to keep up that high level of performance every night, every player would do it.
Yeah.
So that is a good take. But with Tyrese, I feel like he's just overtaxed as a scorer. Like, I would like to see him in a lower scoring role, just because, like, I don't know if he has those capabilities. I think that he's kind of been figured out by the league.
Do you think at that
And just
point
this whole
you need like
team.
you need a more elite scorer next to him? Because I feel like that's kind of the reason you brought Pascal in to, at least limit that load a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I just know that he's not this as polished of a scorer as he could be.
Yeah.
He's not as polished for the amount of scoring responsibility he has.
Fix that ugly jump shot.
It's the jump shot and like the shot diet, which is another thing, because he's a guy that again shoots a lot of threes. But the thing about him shooting a lot of threes is that he's not the most like athletic guy. He doesn't have that first step. He's not a break your defender type of guy.
Well, I was gonna say it just seems kind of like he almost defaults to the three ball sometimes when he can't, get elsewhere on the court.
Yeah, just his ability to create space. Like, he's not that kind of playmaker. Like, there's different types of playmakers, like ones that could break down their defender and make plays from that, and then just pure passing demons like him. And he's a guy that, yeah, like, I don't really know what the future holds for the Pacers. He had a good game, or at least a solid game with the Magic, or against the Magic. So hopefully he continues that level of play. But I just think the league has figured him out.
Yeah.
I think the scouting report, he's easy. He's easier to scout against.
And I still think
we can. That's great.
Yeah, and I still think we can kind of see him bounce back to more of what he was before. But I think I don't want to say we jumped the gun on him because he's been in the league for quite some time now. But I think we could just kind of see how his game is limited and where he needs to grow. And it's just a matter of if he actually, fully takes that leap in those areas.
Yeah, he just got announced as a member of the starting 5 season 2, so hopefully that motivates him, having a camera in front of him like, oh shit, I gotta work. I don't know. Last thing with the Pacers, they are not pacing. They have a really slow pace. They're bottom 5 right now in pace, which is really weird. I know it's a small sample size, but they were second in the league last year. Like, that was their whole identity.
Yeah.
And they're not running right now. Which I think would help Tyrese a bit. Well, a
Definitely.
lot, because it would help him a lot because, having the court vision that he does, having that floor spacing ability he does, would really thrive in transition.
When do the in-season tournament games start? Next month?
Like, middle of November, I think.
That's where he'll turn up.
In season. Yeah, he's just waiting. But it's going to be really fun to talk during that time. November 12th is the first day of in-season tournament games.
Makes sense.
So, yeah. That's all for the Pacers that I have. Anything else?
No.
All right. What I was going to say when we were talking about the Warriors is I want to talk a bit about Klay Thompson.
Oh.
Because he has looked great.
He's looked very good. And I think like, obviously, everyone was calling him washed after his over 10 game in the play-in last year. But I think this just, at this point in his career, the way he's going to be utilized on the Mavs just fits him perfectly. He can just play off the ball, move off the ball, get spoon-fed from Luka all game long, and all he has to do is shoot threes. And obviously, we don't expect him to defend at a high level like he did in his prime, but, he's at least someone who will try to take that assignment every once in a while, and just creates another outlet for Luka and Kyrie offensively, which they didn't have in their run last year. Do I think it necessarily, if they had Klay Thompson on their team last year, do I think they necessarily beat the Celtics? No, but maybe they don't get absolutely creamed on.
Yeah, exactly. We're just gonna ignore that
Ring,
phone.
ring, 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 ring.
Why is it? I swear I never hear this phone ring unless it's the podcast. But yeah, he's looked great. He's a guy that was overtaxed as a scorer last year. He's a guy that had a lot of offensive load, and now he has the lowest usage since 2014. He's a guy that, last year he had to, but he also just like was in a position where he felt comfortable to take a lot of bad shots, if we're being real.
Yeah.
He would take a lot of bad 3-pointers, a lot of, just a lot of chucking up shots. But
that's
now
the thing.
he really,
It almost felt like he was just chucking up shots to kind of prove to himself and everyone that he's still Klay Thompson, and now I think he can just kind of fit into a system perfectly that works for him rather than trying to force himself into how the Warriors want to play.
Yeah, like this fresh start is what he needs, and his shot diet is great because he's shooting 11 3-pointers a game. 85% of his field goals are 3-point attempts. Last year it was 60. So yeah, just more 3-pointers, going to the line less mid-range shots, and just really sitting at that 3-point line. And the thing is also the quality of 3-point shots. Because last year he did take a lot of bad shots, but this year, like, I don't know his openness rating, but it has to be way higher than it was last year.
Definitely.
So that's something like if you give Klay Thompson a wide open 3-pointer, like that's dangerous. And you have guys like Luka and Kyrie that are so dangerous offensively. Like that trio I'm excited for to watch more of that trio this season because Klay is just the perfect fit there for what they want to do.
Primetime game tonight, Timberwolves and Mavs.
Yeah. But yeah, Klay could just be that play finisher. And I think last year he wanted to be more of a not playmaker, but like a creator.
Klay's dropping dimes.
Klay. That's another thing too. He's like averaging like less than an assist right now, and last year he averaged like 2 because he had the ball more.
That's the thing.
So,
as long as he's just strictly finishing plays, the assist numbers really don't even matter. So.
Yeah. And I didn't understand the criticism that was going, or the skeptical people that were concerned about him being integrated into this offense and him kind of going through those growing pains and him not having those plays ran for him and just being a corner sitter. Like, you don't add Klay Thompson and just stick him in the corner, which I think a lot of people thought was going to happen. Like, they're running plays for him. And yeah, when you have an elite generational creator like Luka and you have a play finisher in Klay when it comes to the 3-point shot, I think it's just a match made in heaven.
Yeah, my only thing was I was just concerned if Klay himself was like super washed. Yeah. But like for sure. The fit in the offense I had no concerns over because he's just coming in and doing what he's done his whole career, and that's shoot threes, and as long as he doesn't have to create for himself, he'll be fine and he'll continue to shoot it at a high clip because you're as you get older and you're coming back from the injuries, you're obviously going to lose a step defensively, and you're just not going to move as well. But one thing that's you're never really going to lose is your shooting touch, and I think that's what's shown for him so far with the Mavs.
Yeah, for sure. I want to. There's just a couple more things I want to talk about. One of them being Chet Holmgren. Because he's the guy that's looked amazing right now. He is doing great. He's averaging 24 points per game. And a big thing with that is his 3-point shot isn't falling right now. And he's averaging 24 points per game. And he's getting to the line, which is it's a bit strange to see because we see his narrow frame. But one thing that I like that Chet Holmgren does more than Wemby is Chet will put his bony arm into you and he'll try to get to the basket and kind of bully you.
Yeah.
Wemby doesn't really use his size as well as he could, which is frustrating to start the season.
Wemby's been disappointing me so far, but I think Chet's just expanding his game more than I guess we were kind of anticipating, especially early on, which is good for him and the Thunder, because if he can actually, like, obviously we were anticipating more of a jump from J-Dub and, to improve on his scoring. But if we can get, if the Thunder can solidify Chet as their for sure second guy, I think you're really obviously we were all anticipating the Thunder were going to run away with the league anyways, but just having that hierarchy as well,
They
kind of.
are.
Yeah. But just
They are blowing teams out right now, and they will continue to just cruise through the season.
it's so crazy to me that they just had they still have 20 million picks still. Like, what is wrong with Sam Presti, man?
Yeah, for sure. They got Chet, who looks amazing. He would be talked about a lot more if Wemby wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like, Chet looks amazing. He looks like a guy that, he's a guy that has already showed us that he's getting better and better. We haven't seen that with Wemby yet this season. Chet plays how I want Wemby to play.
Yeah.
No,
because Wemby could easily do the stuff that Chet is doing.
Yeah, but I applaud Chet for doing it and, going insane, having the talent to do what he's doing. Averaging 13 rebounds as well, averaging 4 blocks a game, getting to the line a lot more, and he's doing all this without his three-point shot falling, which we know he has that ability.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to watch him this season. I don't know. He's only 22 years old, and he's looking really good. That's all I can say, really. And then the last thing I kind of had here that I want to talk about is Dyson Daniels. He was my dark horse MIP guy. I almost said MVP.
He is my dark
he was my
horse
dark
MVP.
horse. Pardon?
He's my dark horse MVP.
Yeah. If we talked about the ladder, he would be no. But yeah, he's a guy that he's starting the season how I thought would happen. He's shooting more threes.
He's
shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's in a situation now where he can thrive. He was buried with the Pelicans, which kind of has been the problem with their team, is just the amount of depth that they had.
Because I always thought Dyson, had the talent, even like the 3-point ability. Because obviously he's a monster on the defensive side of the ball. But
Yes.
I always thought he had the offensive capabilities, but I just thought the confidence was sort of lacking. And it doesn't help that, the Pelicans had like 3 other guards they were trying to give minutes to. But I also think, I think the DeJounte for Dyson Daniels swap was kind of like the perfect flip for the two teams, because I think they're both similar players and with similar skill sets and like archetypes. But I think DeJounte for the Pelicans is going to be more of the playmaker, play setter, and whatnot. And I think Dyson, which is what the Pelicans wanted, and I think Dyson in return for the Hawks is going to kind of do what they were anticipating DeJounte would do, and just defend the hell out of everybody. Give an outlet to Trey, and I think they both just fit very nicely on their new spots.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that the Pelicans drafted Dyson with the intent of having him be the on-ball point guard that they kind of need. And then the Hawks kind of thought that DeJounte would provide the defense when they got him, and that he would transition to more of an off-guard role. But I agree. Now Dyson Daniels, he's not a guy that I think will be that, that point guard that I thought he could at one point.
Yeah.
Which is fine. He's just doing his great thing defensively. If his shot can continue to stay where it is and even develop a little bit more, then he's kind of the perfect role player.
Yeah.
And he's getting more usage. So that confidence that they're instilling in him, it isn't just 3-pointers. They're allowing him to have the ball more in other places, and he's doubled his 3-point attempts. He is shooting better and more usage, more confidence, and we know what he does on the defensive end. So I really like the way he's playing right now. Jalen Johnson had a bit of a slow start, but he just had a good game.
Yeah.
But then they lost to the Wizards, which Trae Young played awful in
I was
that
going to
game.
say, Atlanta Hawks basketball. You start the season off nicely, and then you lose to the Wizards.
Yeah, and they started Ricochet, which I thought was interesting, because I think was like, okay, they're going to go slow with them.
I think DeAndre Hunter's hurt, which is why.
Okay, that makes sense.
But
DeAndre, I said
Herter.
DeAndre Herter. DeAndre
That
Hunter
would be a
getting
player.
hurt isn't a surprise.
Yeah, no,
That should be his nickname on Basketball Reference, DeAndre Herter,
and
because he's always hurt.
I like I'm okay with them kind of starting slow with Risache, but even the fact that he's still kind of been disappointing for what I was anticipating from him. I was expecting him to play off the ball nicely, but so far he's just kind of been super inefficient, which I guess will eventually kind of, you know, fix itself.
Rookie woes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of the rookies are going through their rookie woes. Same thing with Zach Edey, who has not looked great.
I was gonna say
My rookie of the year pick.
this rookie of the year class is gonna, or race is gonna be mid as hell.
Yves
I
Missy
was
is
about
the
to
rookie
say
of the year, right?
Yves Missy's got it locked up right now.
Yeah. And then I like how they're playing a Kongwu more, which is
I
him
don't know
and Clint
why he's
little
don't know why he's not starting yet.
because the Hawks. But he's playing more minutes than Capella. Last year it was really split in the minutes distribution, but now Kongwu has been playing more time than Clint, and he's looked really great. And I just want to see more of that because I've been a big Okongwu fan since he was drafted, and I thought the fit was weird when he was drafted because they had Capella. But now hopefully he has more room to shine, which we've been seeing.
Yeah.
So. That's all that I have. Is there anything else that you want to talk about from the first week of the NBA season?
Oh, geez, not really. We already mentioned Wemby's been kind of mid. He'll get better.
Yeah. Jeremy Sohan is coming out of nowhere, doing really good.
Suns are starting off nicely, as I was anticipating.
We talked about we talked about most teams in one way or another. That's kind of worth talking about.
Yeah.
Rest up to Taylor Hendricks and that injury.
Oh man.
It wasn't even like a bang play. Literally nothing happened.
My guy's leg just folded on him. It's so crazy.
The human body is so weird. Like he wasn't even doing anything, and his leg just completely snapped. I saw that he's missing the rest of the season, which is
no surprise there.
Obvious, yeah. Hopefully he can, talk to Paul George in the off season or something. Because
how'd you rehab from this?
Yeah, I mean he's talked about it a bit on his podcast. Maybe he just needs to tune in. But yeah, it sucks for a guy that young too. He's 20 years old, 9th overall pick, starting for them.
Well, and it almost feels like last year he was kind of buried a bit in his role for the, with the Jazz because he was drafted high and we were kind of expecting some things from him. But obviously they have Lowry, Walker Kessler, and then they brought in freaking John Collins too, which, even lessen the opportunity for him even more. So hopefully next year he can have a solid bounce back for them, I suppose.
Yeah, but he finally earned that starting job after being buried last year, pretty much. So that sucks. So hopefully he heals up. I was gonna say something else, but I have now forgotten, which is that's a lot of fun.
Luka's fucking over my fantasy team right now. Mans can't hit a shot.
Oh yeah, you drafted him. I forgot about that. Walker Kessler. That's what I want to say. He's looked good.
He's looked very good. I still think it's weird that they were shopping him around for 2 first-round picks all of last year. So hopefully he can kind of have a bounce back year, or not even bounce back year, just kind of take the leap we were expecting him to take last year.
Yeah, progression isn't linear. Like he had a really good first year. He overexceeded expectations. His second year, he was basically the same, regressed a little bit probably. And then this year, he seems to be in a better place. Apparently he went to therapy, and he's been looking really good. So hopefully he continues that, and that, he can have a future with this Jazz team, or maybe another team buys in on him. We'll see.
Pelicans.
It won't be them. They have Yves Missy. They don't need him. I saw the Lakers are interested.
I still don't want fucking Daniel Tice. Lakers are. Yeah. I wouldn't mind Lakers actually.
If the Lakers are doing what they're doing defensively with Jackson Hayes and AD, imagine Walker Kessler and AD. Like JJ's in the car wash drawing up plays right now, drawing up defensive.
No, that's the thing, because all I see on Lakers pages is that they are like, why is AD not running the 4? And I guess this gives you that opportunity.
actually is. Like, he's playing minutes with Jackson Hayes, and they're kind of having it where they're having a zone where AD is kind of in the mid-range and, like, the middle as the first line of defense, and then Jackson Hayes is back there for help.
Yeah. No, that's...
Because AD has been very versatile and more on the perimeter this season. So he's basically playing, like, kind of the 4.
Well, I just think it's so weird that they had Jackson Hayes, who obviously is not a very, like, skilled and or talented player, but he's super athletic and super just big, and, like, he can just play an impactful brand of basketball, and he was just so utilized so poorly.
That's how it goes.
Such a shame. Thank God JJ is the head coach now.
Thank God. But yeah, I think that's about it for the first week of the NBA season. We'll keep track of stuff around the NBA, and we'll be back probably once a week.
Yeah, whenever.
I think that's good. Or yeah, whenever we fucking feel like it. Yeah, that's all for this episode of the Hoopers Lab podcast. The NBA is finally back, and if you want to see more of us, then you can subscribe, like, and comment on the video. And are you doing sound effects?
I heard something, but that was not me, so I'm gonna.
Oh, that was you. Okay, well, it's not me messing with the soundboard this time. So yeah, so on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, tune in next week and follow. I think that's an option. So yeah,
like it.
We'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.
Adios.